In this video, we'll create the basic brick object that's going to appear on the screen and be the thing that you break apart, obviously, up at the top of the screen. So we're actually going to create a new package in which to store our various bricks. Eventually it's going to have modifier type bricks and stuff, so we'll just call this bricks. And in that bricks package, we'll create a new class called brick. And this class is going to need to know a couple things about itself. The way we're going to set this up, each brick will know its location in space, and that'll be correlated with its place in an array, a two-dimensional array. And the game panel class is eventually going to have a two-dimensional array of brick objects that it keeps track of, or an array of brick objects. Frankly, it doesn't actually matter if it's a one-dimensional or two-dimensional array of brick objects. There are other ways to do this, certainly. This is just one way that tends to make a lot of sense to people, so and it's fairly simple to understand, and a little less abstract than some of the other methods. So we're going to create some fields for the brick. So it's going to have a private int x, a y position. Bricks are going to have a width and a height. They're also going to have a strength, so that it can take multiple hits to break them apart. We're going to have a boolean to keep track of whether or not the brick is active currently. Now, this is sort of like, this is one system of doing what we're doing. There are other ways to organize it, to be sure. I've chosen in this program to give things names and break them apart. So in some situations they're not structured quite as elegantly as they might be, and they're not quite as efficient as they might be, but I've tried to give things names to really make clear what's going on. And then we're going to have a private color object to keep track of the brick's color, and we can just always call that my color, or you could call it C. We have to import color, and then we're going to create a constructor that will take in public brick. It'll take in two integers for the y and x positions, and what it'll do, the constructor is pretty basic. It just needs to give initial values to everything. So this is just good practice. So in the constructor you want to always initialize all the fields. So we'll say this, or my x equals x, and this dot y. That's a way of specifying it's my field. It's the y that belongs to me equals the y that was passed over. So this syntax looks weird. It's color-coded in Eclipse to help. So this x is the parameter x, and we store it in our field x, which is blue. Fields are coded in blue. We also want to give initial values to the width and height, and after some testing I like a value of 30 for the width, and for the height I like a value of 20 pixels. We are also going to at first give a random value to the strength, so we're going to use math.random to give, you can set this however you like, but we're going to set it to a range of 0, 1, or 2. Initially, we're going to set the value of isActive to true, because each brick when it's created will be active. And then we're going to set the value of my color to a value that is related to its strength, so the color will communicate the strength to some degree. So we'll do 255 minus the strength times 100, which will, the maximum value of the strength is 255, so this will give 3 potential values of either totally white, or a value of 155 gray, or a value of 55 gray. So that's enough for our constructor. The brick object needs to know how to tell outside classes if it is currently active. So we're going to create getter and setter methods for the boolean isActive, so that other classes can, when they detect a collision, they can potentially set a brick to inactive. So we just want getters and setters for that. So public boolean get isActive, and all this method will do is return isActive. And then we want a getter or a setter method for isActive. So I'm just giving us a little space. So public void set is active, and then it'll take in a boolean from an outside class active, and all it'll do is set the value of is active, our field, to whatever was passed over in active. We're also going to have a method called public void got hit. So when the brick is going to be hit by the ball, all got hit is going to do is decrease the strength of the brick to keep track of whether or not or how strong the strength is. And then we're going to say if strength is less than 0, the brick has been broken. And so we're going to set the value of is active to false in that case. And if it's not less than 0, we're going to copy this line of code and set the color to a new color. And why is active? Oh, equals false. Sorry, I didn't type the equal symbol. It's hard to talk and code at the same time. Okay, bricks also have to be able to, for the sake of collisions, tell you their, give you their rectangle, which is just kind of an efficient way of, rectangle get rect. And this is just going to return the brick's position, or in a rectangle form, so that the ball can tell if it's hit the brick. And let's see, we have to import rectangle. Yep. Let's see if this is enough for. Oh, and we obviously need a draw method. Sorry. So public void draw, and this is going to take in the main graphics 2D object for the game, which we're generally naming G2. So we say G2.setColor, myColor, and G2.fill. We're going to do a round rect because I think that looks better. XY width height, and then I tend to do 20 and 20 for this game. Now I think that this is the basic brick object. So it knows its position, it sets some basic values, its constructor takes in an X and Y, so we're going to have to send over in the game panel class like the location of each brick, and then it sets a width and height, sets an initial strength to anywhere from 0 to 2, tells you that it's active, sets its color based on its strength, and if you want it to be like, all like no red or something, you can switch this to 0. That might be kind of cool. So let's switch one of these to 0, and this color will be only kind of a blue-green, I think. I don't know what this will look like actually. Maybe it'll be yellow. Who knows? We'll see. And it can tell you if it's active or if it's inactive, and it can you can set the whether or not it's active from an outside class. An outside class is going to be able to say, hey, something hit you. This is going to be used by the collisions. This method also is going to be used for collisions, and then it's able to draw itself, and that's plenty for this video.